Hello everyone, myself Sowmya, Assistant Professor in CSE AIML department. So in this video, we're going to cover Angular JS modules. So this is a continuation video for the previous video. So in the previous video also, we discussed about the basics of module, how to create a module. So in this video, we will see the extension of that previous video. So in this video, we are mainly focusing on how to add a directive to the module, and we will also see one example application. So we have seen like what is a module in the previous video. So module, by using module, like it is like a container which will connect all the parts of your application. So if you want to make your module as working module, then you need to add a container for that. So along with that, we can also add some directives to your module. So we know we have so many predefined directives like ng app, ng model, ng bind, ng repeat. So all these are predefined directives. So we are directly using them in our programs to make our process simple. So like that, we can also create our own directives. So that is possible by using this a directive function. So in addition, like we are using the built-in directives like ng app, ng model, all those things. Along with that, we can also create our own directives. So now we'll see how to create a directive. So adding a directive. So adding a directive to your module. How I can add the directive to your module. So we know the module can be created using angular.module. And we have some parameters. This I'm storing in a variable called app. So now for this app, I need to add the directive. So how I can add? Using this app. App is your Angular module. For this, I'm using a method directive. So to create this directive, to add this directive to your module. So in this, here in this syntax, we are creating a directive. So what is the directive name? W3 test directive. So if you observe the naming rules, the first letter is small case letter while creating a directive. So from the next word onwards, the first letter is capital. So now here to work this directive, you are returning something. Of course, first we will see the syntax of this directive. So here you are creating a module. For this module, you are creating a directive function, right? So using directive function, we have two parameters here. So the first parameter is the name of the directive. So still now we are seeing ng model, ng app, all those are the name of the directives. So here my directive name is W3 test directive. So this is the name of your directive you are creating. Now for this we have a second parameter function. So how this directive should work? So that can be decided by this function. So now what this function is doing? This function is returning. What it is returning? It is returning a template. So what is this template is containing? Made by a directive. It's a message which will be displayed within the heading tags. Now what is this template? So here a template is nothing but it's a property which will give the content to your directive. So this is a syntax to create a directive, to add a directive to your module. So here what is the name of your directive? W3 test directive, and careful with the naming conventions. And now, so what is this property? The primary purpose of this template property is to define the structure and content of your directive. So what is the structure of your directive and what you're going to write in that directive? So what is the purpose of that directive? Everything can be specified by using this template property. So whatever you're writing within this template property, so that will be executed under that directive. So whenever you call this directive name, what happens? So that directive will be replaced with this template content. So now here what is the directive name? We have created W3 test directive. But while calling this directive from the HTML, you need to call like this. So all small case letters only, W3 hyphen test hyphen directive. So this is the directive name. So while defining the directive, you are writing like this. While calling this directive, you are writing like this. So this is the starting tag and this is the ending tag. So whenever you call this directive, whenever you use this tags in your program, that directive function will be called. So this directive function will be called. So whatever the code is there in this, that will be executed. So now what happens if I call this tags? Simply it will display made by a directive message within the h1 tag. So now coming to the example application. So we know this script tag is mandatory for any Angular JS applications. Why? Because you're going to use the properties of Angular JS. So now here I'm making like the complete body as a ng app here. So body ng app is equal to the app name I'm giving as my app, and here I am calling a directive. So this is a user defined directive. I don't have any predefined directive with this name. So what is the name of the directive you are calling? Test-directive. So within this tags, I am not writing anything. Why? Because this is not like you're going to develop a simple directive here. Here I am not giving anything within this tags. So I am simply calling this tag and then immediately I am closing this tag. So what this tag will do, it will call the directive, actual directive. So what is that directive name? Test directive. Like this. So D capital here. So while defining your directive, you need to follow the naming conventions. So here under the script, I am creating a module. So without module, you can't add any directive here. So how I can create a module? Angular.module, and the module name, my app, is same as your ng app name, and the second one is empty array. So this reference you are storing in a variable called app. So now for this app, I am adding the directive. So app.directive. What is the name of the directive? Test directive. And what is the function of this directive? That can be defined by the second parameter function. And this function is returning some value. What is that value? Then I am using a template property here to provide the structure or to provide the content for your directive. I am using the template property. So template colon, whatever you are writing here, the same thing will be displayed there. So what happens here? Whenever you call this tag, where it will go? It will go to this one. It will come to here. Then this will be executed. So where this text will be replaced? This will be replaced here. So that's all. I'm closing the script. I'm closing the body and then HTML. So what is the output I'm getting? Simply a message made by a directive. So we'll try to see the output for this by executing this. So this is the output made by a directive. So now if I want to modify anything, so test directive, so I want to give some a-test directive. So a-test directive. So here test T will be capital then and A will be small. So if I refresh this, again I am getting the same output. So this is the naming convention you need to pass. So you can give any directive name, but while defining that directive name, so you should follow this. And while calling that, so whenever you call this directive, you should use this hyphens. So that is about adding a directive to your module. So in this video, we have seen how to add a directive to your module, and we have also seen one example application. Thank you.